The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
Purpose of those inquiries, did you say?
They would fill out a report, and it would have, most of the time, they had a DR number on them. If they had, you know, and there was one time that he had, it was just for an investigation. It didn't have a DR number, and that's what I wrote on there, investigation. It's, if I ran a criminal history, I put on there I would be the one logged in. I would put on there who requested it, the DR number or investigation, what they had put on their paper. So, you know, he didn't confide in me as to why he was running somebody. They would give me the paper, and I would do it.
And is that just for the criminal histories?
Mm-hmm. Only for criminal histories.
And for driver license,
they would just give me like a little post-it note or something on this plate for me.
Would they ever tell you why?
No.
I'm going to refer to some of the crime scene log.
Okay.
The CEDUS logs. And we'll start off with 2009.
Okay.
In 2009, it looked like you conducted checks on Vito Austin. It looks like 11 of them.
Okay. For driver's license, what?
Criminal histories, basically on, looked like through the February 10th of 2009, criminal history. It looks like 3 of them.
Okay.
And I think those went to Michelle Norris. Did she ever give a reason?
She was doing she had a report. This elderly lady had come in, and Chief Gilbert assigned it to Officer Norris. And there was a DR on it. I remember it being a very thick file. I don't, you know, okay. I remember it being a thick file. If there was a DR, should be on the log. Was there a DR on the log?
I didn't see one. Let's see here. Like 2000, it would be John Jones. But that was for the criminal investigation she was doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But Chief Gilbert had me run him also.
Right. It's right around August 4th, it looks like, of that year, August 4th of 2009. Criminal history report, an Arizona driver's license check, Oregon driver's license check. Looks like 2 trying to get photos.
Mm-hmm.
And that just might be right at the same time. It might have been a double click, I'm not sure. And then another criminal history check. The first criminal history check was at 15:20. And the last one on that day was at 16:06, and that was for Chief Gilbert. Did he ever tell you why he wanted that run?
I mean, he had to have filled out one of those papers. But if that was that long ago, I have no idea, because they were only kept for a year. So I don't know.
Okay, and then again on the 20th of November, a license check
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall who might have asked you to do that?
Chief Gilbert. It was either Chief Gilbert or Sergeant Frosto.
Okay, do you recall why they would have asked you that?
No.
Let's go to 2010.
Like I said, I didn't try to remember or keep track, because that's...
It looks like on that year of 2010, and we'll get to a little specifics here later, John Jones was run a total of 26 times by you, and then once by Chief Gilbert.
Okay.
And then 4 times by Officer Rubicava.
Okay, so if Rubicava ran it, they were out in the field, right? Does it run through dispatch, or is that run through?
I believe that was through dispatch. And then,
because very seldom did just run the street officers ask me to run somebody.
And then Vito Austin was run a total of 13 times by you, and 4 times by Chief Gilbert.
Driver's license?
I believe it was.
Is that?
I'll have to check here in just a second.
Because the criminal histories have to come back to somebody.
And then 4 times by Chief Gilbert. 3 times by Yeomans. 1 time by Officer Starr, and then 2 times by Sergeant Garcia. Then Sean Austin was run 2 times by you. And then Russell Sias.
But what was ran is what I'm trying.
Right, I'll get to that.
Okay.
And then Russell Sias was run a total of 16 times by you and 22 times by Chief Gilbert. And then Chance Hamilton was run a total of 3 times by you. And then Michael Roth was run 13 times by you and then 9 times by Chief Gilbert.
Okay. So the ones that are just by me are driver's license or vehicles.
Well, I got Michael Roth here right now.
Okay.
Michael Roth, there was a driver's license history that you did, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 criminal histories were done, all on the 28th of, and then 2 photos, inquiries, all on the 28th of December, 28th of January of 2010.
There was how many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9 criminal histories. And they were run by?
Run by you.
By the request of Q.
Right, of Gilbert.
Okay. It may have, with that many being on one day, the machine may have been acting up, because that's very odd.
Yeah, because it starts at 1343, and then there's one that's 1344, 1345, 1347.
And those were
1348, 1351, 1352,
yeah.
And the last one is 1353.
Yeah, the machine had to been acting up.
Okay. Do you recall why that criminal history was done?
No.
Okay.
Now, you were saying that when they fill out these papers requesting a criminal history through, that they only keep them for a year. Now, do they completely discard those after a year?
I would shred them.
Okay, so
those logs.
They're not archived or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Now, when you ran your criminal histories for officers, I know that they have sections in there for badge numbers, and then they have a comment section. where a lot of times when somebody's running a criminal history for somebody else, so incorporate a DR number or a badge number of the officer that's requesting in the comments. Did you routinely do that when you had somebody do that for you, identifying that you were running it for this person?
For this person, yes. Because there's no reason why I want to run one.
And you were relying on the fact that this individual was providing you information to the fact that they were requesting this for criminal justice purposes.
Exactly.
And then, beginning in January of 2010 for John Jones. On the 4th of January, looks like you, at 1612, you did a 50 state query. Basically what I call is part 1, part 2, because it's 2 sections of that. And then a warrant check on him. And then a driver's license query out of Wyoming, Oklahoma, Montana. And then a second time, a second region, part 2, for 50 states. And that was like 1637. The first one was done at 1613.
That was either Sergeant Frosto or Chief Gilbert. And lots of times our machine, because it's so remote, messes up, and it ends up, there'll be like double entry. So I mean, if they're the same thing right close. But when it came back, the 50 states, then he requested certain states, and I don't remember why he requested certain states. Maybe they didn't come up on the 50. I don't know.
And that would have been either Chief
Chief or Sergeant Frosto.
And did they give you a reason why they wanted them run?
No. Just, well, that was part of the, let's see what they've been doing and where they've been, and if they had anything any other places. I mean, that was the gist of it.
Were you aware of any criminal investigation going on or criminal activity at the Joneses? That
they always had something going on that involved the Joneses.
So, I mean, other than like disorderly conduct or being called to that residence. I'm talking like an ongoing investigation where it would warrant this many checks.
No, I don't know of anything.
Would they make you aware of that?
No.
Or would they keep it?
But they would probably. The chief, after the first DPS investigation, kept things more. But I don't think they would make me aware of it, because he was, who know, people that need to know type of thing. There may have been, but since I did the reports and the records and shipped them off to the attorneys and stuff, I never saw anything, even after the fact, that I would think, oh, that's why they,
Okay. And then again on, let's see, this would have been the 2nd of April. There was a driver's license photo inquiry, 2 license inquiries. One was done at 1453, another one at 1532. And then again, at 1544, there was the regions, part 1 and part 2.
Okay, now, like the photo, I had a tendency I would run the driver's license, and then they'd say, oh, can you get a photo? So then it would be ran for the photo lots of times. So it would be like right back to back, instead of them saying, can you run it, the DQP to start out with. So lots of times there'd just be double entries. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. And then it looked like there's 4 times here where you did the regions on that day. And would you recall who may have asked you for that on the 2nd of April?
Which person was it?
This is John Jones.
John Jones. That was probably Sergeant Frosto. It may have been Chief Gilbert. I don't know. They both worked on reports, and Sergeant Frosto actually more than Chief Gilbert on a lot of that stuff.
Okay, and would you recall why he might have asked you?
It was still all when they were trying to decide if he was actually who he was. They were convinced, because his name is John Jones and he's never had a photo ID, that he had to have been an alias, and he had to have. Some person, anonymous person, brought in an oil can that he supposedly put oil in their vehicle and threw in the trash. They bring it in. Frosto sends it to the lab, the DPS lab, for fingerprints, because we have no idea who this person is. So they had to check for fingerprints to see if it came back to anybody.
Do you know when that happened?
They brought it in last of May, June, something like that. It didn't get to the lab until probably October.
Okay, so that would have been May of 2010.
Probably. Might have been June, because it was when they were getting ready to leave.
Okay.
They're doing their snowbird thing.
Was there a report with that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you were the evidence custodian at that time?
Mm-hmm.
So it was sent up to the...
Mm-hmm. And it came back that the lab, the result sheet came back no prints.
Okay.
They went up to the Lake Havasu City lab, and what they put on there is, this person, because he comes back with no record, may be a sex offender out of Oklahoma, or, I mean, it was like...
Do you recall what the DR number might have been on that?
No, but I've got it. I don't recall. $10-00581 was ours. The DPS was 2010-731616. Fingerprints that could be found on plastic bottle belong to Jack Jones. When a record check is done on Jones, no record is found. Therefore, it's believed that A.K.A. Jones is using the listed name as an alias. Information received that A.K.A. Jones could possibly be a sex offender wanted out of the state of Oklahoma.
And did Sergeant Frosto ever tell you who brought that can in?
Nope.
Was it ever listed on the record?
Nope. Anonymous person.
Okay, and then moving on to, for John Jones, starting about, it would have been the 29th of November through the 30th of November.
Mm-hmm.
He was run by you for a criminal history, once for Gilbert. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 criminal histories on that day. That looks like ones that might have been a double tap at the same time. And then a Part 1 region for the 50 states, a DQ out of Indiana, and a license check out of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall who, other than what's listed here, Chief?
Those were all from Chief Gilbert.
Did he ever tell you why?
Nope.
He wanted? Okay.
Unless the criminal histories, he'd have had to have given me a sheet. Except when they were doing we were just getting ready to have our 3-year audit. And there was one of those sheets that was missing out of the book that was within the time frame. And lots of times what they would do, I know Officer Norris, anytime she'd have me run a criminal history for the sex offenders, she would make a copy of that sheet and keep it in with her sex offender files. But I don't know if Sergeant Frosto or Chief Gilbert did that or not. So, I mean, some may be archived, but not enough. I mean, they weren't scanned and saved in any way, shape, or form that way.
Okay, now moving on to Vito Austin.
Okay.
On the 4th of January, he was 2 licenses out of Arizona, probably a double hit, and then a warrant check. Do you recall who may have asked you for that?
Probably, it was, like I said, either Chief Gilbert or Sergeant Frosto.
Were those the 2 main people that ever came to you? Did any other officers ever come to you?
Officer North did when we did the sex offender stuff.
Okay.
You know, occasionally, Sergeant Schultz would, you know, when he was doing something kind of an investigation report or something, would ask me to check a driver's license, but very, very seldom.
Okay, and so you wouldn't recall why, like, the license, again, would be run on the 29th and then March? Okay.
Except for the fact that that was around one of the elections. Other than that, I mean, you know.
And then moving on to Sean Austin. It looks like you ran 2 times that year. On the 19th of April 2010. An Oregon license and an Arizona license.
And the second one was what time, when?
It was 19th of April of 2010. One was Arizona and then Oregon.
Okay, because the driver's license?
Yeah.
Okay. That had to have been when they were going through the voter registration logs that the town had obtained, and they were going through. They had the recall petitions that people had signed. They had the voter registration logs, and they were matching them against names, and they were checking to see if people had valid Arizona driver's license to be able to register to vote in the state of Arizona.
Now, was this for everybody that was on the list, or just certain people?
Just certain people.
And who? Do you recall who those people are?
The Joneses, the Austins, Sias, Hamilton. I can't think of anybody else, but those were basically the main people, because Sias was running against the council people, Hamilton was running against the council, Jones was running against the council. I don't know if there was anybody else, but and I think Sean Austin, or it was a write-in, or I don't know, but anyhow, he was running. But I don't know if it was that time or if it was the next time. Some of that may have been the time when Sean Austin, they're people that get into some trouble. There's people that are just a little bit, but basically they're not bad people. Things just happen. They have history. They get in domestics and things like that. So we've had involvements with them, but nothing like Sean, nothing big. There was an investigation of allegations that one Officer Starr was involved with Sean Austin's stepdaughter, I believe she was, and some of that stuff may have been around that time to kind of get, for Chief to kind of get a history on maybe how the type of people they are. I don't know. I don't know. Because I just honestly cannot, just off the top of my head, remember why they had. But Sean was, I believe it was around the voter time when they were checking the voter registration. But that may be just speculation on my part, too.
Now, was the chief asked to look into this?
I don't know. I have no idea. He had closed-door meetings with the town manager all the time, so I don't know. I would think that would be something that the county voter register people would do, not town people. But
question for you as a system security officer for the town of Quartzsite, as far as the ASIJA system, based on training that was provided to you, would that be a legitimate reason to use the ASIJA system to check on voter registration?
Absolutely not.
And then another question. Was there only one ACGIS system within the Quartzsite Police Department? Were you ever provided any information why you were specifically asked to run these individuals when you had officers that were certified to run these individuals and could have done it themselves? Is it because of where you were situated and the system was right where you were at? It was easier to do that? Or?
Right there. It was easier for me to do it for them to keep having, because you have to log in every so often. Your password goes away, and it was just an easier.
Is it something where they would have had to have you move if they were going to use the system? Or?
Yeah, but but most.
Okay, and you said that you had to log in periodically as well to the system.
Yeah, your password expires every 3 months, or you have to.
Okay, and when you sign in, does it say, for instance, you come into work in the morning and you sign into the terminal? When you left for the day, do you sign out, or is that terminal left on?
No, the terminal isn't. Well, I would leave it on through the window screen so it would continue to print, but the way it was set up is because we're not manned 24. It was set up so that it would automatically log out after a few minutes. But yes, I logged out and logged in most of the time.
Okay, and did anybody at the Quartzsite Police Department have access to your login password or anything? And I guess my question where I'm going with
is
this,
somebody could come in and log on for me?
Could log
I don't believe so.
Or had the ability to run criminal histories and driver's license checks and registration checks where it would show that you were running it when in fact it would be somebody else?
No.
Okay. And one more question before I turn it back over to Pete. Do you recall when the chief's TOC certification expired?
No.
No? Okay. I was just curious since you were the one that renewed them.
But he never took a test for me. But see, there was another sergeant that was the SSO before me, and I can't remember when he left, Sergeant Wars. So I don't know.
Okay. And how long were you the system security officer for the
That's
course?
what I was just trying to, I don't know, 3, 4 years maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure when Sergeant Wars left.
Okay, so within your time as the system security officer for the Quartzsite Police Department, you do not recall ever providing Chief Gilbert the opportunity to renew?
Yes, he had the opportunity.
Yeah, but he was expired during the time as your system security officer for the police department?
Yes. And he had a TOC number, so he could view stuff. But to have a TOC number is if you're physically running stuff. I mean, to log in, and you have to have a TOC number and a password. So you don't have to have a valid one to view stuff, if I understand correctly.
So, and just so that I understand, say for instance, an officer's there and these are just, I'm just speculating on that, say you work 8 to 4 and you leave for the day and you sign out. If an officer wanted to come back into the office and utilize the ACGIS terminal, they would have to utilize their own password, sign back in, utilize the terminal, and then log out after they were complete.
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have right now, Pete. Okay.
And then moving on to Russell Sias. On the 1st of April of 2010, Russell Sias was run by driver's license check by you. What are your normal hours of work?
8 to 5.
8 to 5, okay, because this one was done at 5:40.
I may have stayed late.
And so it would have been either Chief Gilbert or Frost that asked you. Okay. And then it looks like Chief Gilbert ran him on the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. I'm going to say almost 20 times.
20 times?
For a different driver's license throughout Arizona, Utah, Montana. And then on the 6th.
Because I think he had like a driver's license out of one state, and he had a vehicle that was out of another state, and a residence in he was kind of a strange little Sias, I think, or was that Hamilton? I don't know. I'm sorry.
Are you aware if the chief went out and made traffic stops?
From time to time he did. Yeah, well, he didn't go out normally and make traffic stops. If something completely happened right smack dab in front of him, he would run them through dispatch.
Do you remember what his normal hours of work are? The chief's? Does he work all day long, or just when he wants to?
Just when he wants to. I mean, he's the chief. He can come and go as he pleases.
Okay, because some of these checks by him were made at like 8:20 at night, and then the next day he comes back at 10:30 and does the same checks again.
And those were run through whom?
BSO.
I was going to say, 'cause 8:30, I didn't remember running anybody. Yeah,
these are all done by the SO. Those 20 checks. Then again, back on April 6th, he comes in. You do a region check on him, and then Montana, Utah. It looks like Montana again about a half an hour later.
Because I think on that half an hour later, sometimes if they'd be standing there and they would you'd just write the information down, and then they'd come back and say, and if the machine had logged out, then I would have to. I couldn't just page back, so I'd have to completely run it again. So that may be even some of the ones that are.
Is Russell? Do you know if Russell Sias is a snowbird? I mean, is he seasonal?
Sias. I think he does leave during the hot months of the summer. You know what? I don't know a lot of these people.
Right.
I am kind of a homebody. I can get you lost trying to tell you how to get someplace in Quartzsite, and I've lived there 10 years. If it's on the other side of the freeway, I don't go there. I think he was an assistant park manager or a manager to one of the RV parks, Crawford's RV Park. But I don't know if he was there year-round. I know he was there, of course, during the wintertime, but I don't know, because it gets so hot, and some of these people that live in these little trailers, I don't see how they do it. So, he may be a snowbird.
Yeah, because it looked like you did a check on him, a driver's license out of Arizona, on the 20th of May. And then he doesn't show up for any checks until October.
Yeah.
And then on October 15th, there looks like 9 checks out of Arizona, Montana, Utah, and Arizona on the 15th. And they were done by you.
Mm-hmm. They needed something, so.
And then the last one that it looks like you did was back in on that year for him was November 24th. And that was a license check. Mm-hmm. But you don't know who that might have been for?
It was either Frosto or Chief Gilbert.
Now, do you know, as somebody that was a systems security officer, do you know if when you run a regional or a driver's license or a registration check, is there anything within that prompt that allows you, in other words, if another individual asks you to run a license or a regional check, is there anything within that prompt that allows you, such as the criminal history does, to identify
who you're running for? No.
So if you're running a regional check, a driver's license check, a registration check, this is something because you're signed into it, and you're doing it based on you're believing that they're running it under good faith.
Yes.
And you're running it, and since they go through you, it's going to show under your
because I had no reason to run anybody because I'm not an officer. So if they didn't request it, I didn't run it.
Okay, the last person that year was Sean Hamilton on It looks like April 19th, 2010. A driver's license check, and then the two-part reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that would have...
When they were running for council.
Okay.
Is because that's about the right time frame when they were.
And can you go ahead and, while he's looking for some documents, when you became the system security officer for the Quartzsite Police Department, did you have to attend any specific training?
Yes, I went into training.
Okay, do you recall when you attended that training and who provided that training to you?
DPS, the SSO training, and I would go to the refresher stuff every year because they have updates and stuff, or most every year, not every year. Robin Johnson and the gals that teach that stuff in there.
And would you recall any specific training that would be relative to this investigation that you might have received during either your certification or your updates?
Just that it had to be for a legitimate law enforcement, that you had to run to run anything on a CJIS, it had to be for a legitimate law enforcement reason. And I trusted people to do it for a legitimate law enforcement reason. The criminal histories, they had to fill out the paper, they had to put a DR number or why they needed it. So in the driver's license, I took them at their word that they were doing an investigation or a legitimate law enforcement reason.
Okay, now, beginning with 2011, John Jones and Jennifer Jones. Looked like you ran Jennifer Jones on April 16th. Driver's license check, photo, one out of Arizona, one out of Oklahoma, and then on the 17th, the criminal history.
Okay, and that's when I believe when the chief called